The Untouchable. Oh no. I can't say that. That's not my name right now. That's not my name. Zoro exposed by Bivol proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of Zoro exposed by Bivol's subscribers. Now, this is the aftermath of Dmitry Bivol giving Gilberto Ramirez a boxing lesson. I wanted to kind of give you guys my extended thoughts on this, talk about the fight, where both guys go from here, kind of review some things on the undercard, and just give you guys some good Sunday evening going into nighttime boxing talk here on True School Sports. I've done these aftermath shows a couple of times here and there. I might start doing more of these, like on Sundays after the fight. So if you guys like this type of content, like where I come on here live on Sundays, then yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I'll do more of them. But yeah, we'll get into Bivol, Zoro, and all that stuff moving forward. But before we do that, make sure you guys smash that like button. Definitely continue to support the channel. Let's get into the comments. Shout out to my man Michael Manning, one of the most loyal viewers I have here on True School Sports. He says, "It's a miracle what can happen when we worry about fights that are actually made and happening." Yes. That is like my mantra here on True School, on Zoro Exposed by Bivol. We can't worry about and whine and complain and be a miserable boxing fan like the rest of the YouTube boxing community. We got to enjoy what is happening. We got to focus on the positive, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm not going to get into talking about, the two divas at welterweight or any of that stuff, or the two divas at lightweight or any of that stuff. We're just going to focus on the fights that are signed and the fighters that are going in there, putting it all on the line for us, the fans, and for the fight game. So, absolutely. Shout out to Michael Manning. My main man, Freddie, Box Talk, one-on-one. Saludos, bro. We run Mississippi. Yes. Yes, sir. Brian Mendoza. Brian Mendoza kicking ass, taking names, and letting people know who he is. And listen, I'm happy for him. I'm sure you know Brian, as I know Brian. Brian Mendoza, so happy for him, because I've been telling people for a long time, Brian Mendoza is the hardest working fighter at the Salas Boxing Academy. Every time I go to the Salas gym, Brian Mendoza is always there. And so when I would tell people these things, they would say, yeah, okay, who cares? He lost to Jesus Ramos. Okay, who cares? He lost to this guy or whatever. He's not that good. But guess what? Like Brian's been saying all week going into the fight, opportunity has met preparation. He has prepared. He has been diligent. He has lived the life of a fighter, of a warrior. And he went in there and put on a virtuoso masterclass performance against the former unified champion, Banana Jason Rosario. And not just that. It appears that he's also retired Jason Rosario, because Jason Rosario, we'll get into that later on, but Rosario is saying he's going to hang it up. So we'll get into that later on. But shout out to Freddie, Box Talk 101. Jesus Sem says, saludos, BT. Zoro's performance was very disappointing. Yes. Very disappointing for me as well. I thought Zoro had a lot more to give, and he didn't do it. I don't know if it was fear. I don't know if he was scared to death of that straight right hand by Bivol. I don't know if it was because of the fact that maybe Julian Chua, his trainer, isn't the most experienced guy in big fights, and they just came in with the wrong game plan. I don't know, but whatever it is, he laid a big egg, and his career is not done, so he can always rewrite this wrong later on in another big fight. But for right now, I think Gilberto Ramirez is probably one of the biggest disappointments in boxing in 2022, because of not because he lost. I'm okay with a fighter losing. It's how you lose. It's the performance. It's how you go about things, and how he went about things. Losing this fight was very disappointing. But BC says, LMAO, how you doing, champ? I was so sure of Bill UD. I dropped $1,000 out today. Shout out to you, champ. You done came up. I'm happy for you. Spend that money wisely. Man, Rocky Austin, dude, the guy with like the coolest picture out of everybody. He's got Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Rock. He says, Mendoza, stand up. New Mexico, represent. Yes, sir. Albuquerque, stand up. I love Albuquerque because one of my best friends in boxing is from Albuquerque. My main man, 50 grand, Angelo Leo. So I got love for Albuquerque, even though I've never been there. I'll go someday. But yeah. Brandon D. Hooker says, and shout out to Brandon, he says, Bivol has become my favorite boxer. I got him coming out on top against Artur Beterbiev. And that's going to be a great fight. We'll definitely discuss that as the life progresses. But yeah, man, like Beterbiev versus Bivol, to me, you know, a lot of people have talked about Spencer Crawford and Ryan Garcia and Tank, but I think Bivol Beterbiev, as time has went on, is kind of backdoored all those fights, and it's become, at least for me, and I don't know about everybody else, but for me, when I talk about the actual fight itself, I think it's the best fight in boxing. You know, because honestly, I know right now people are gonna probably pick Bivol more than Beterbiev because of recency bias, but really, if there was ever such a thing in boxing as a 50-50 fight, it's that fight right there, because you got Bivol, who has mastered his craft. He's mastered the art of boxing, taking on Beterbiev, a guy that's knocked out every man unconscious that he's fought in the ring. I mean, it really doesn't get no better than that fight. Brandon says he's missed these recap lives. Yeah, I want to get back to doing these, man. I want to stop being a diva myself. I can't criticize Crawford and Spence and then rest of my laurels and be a diva myself. So I gotta, you know, put the extra work in myself and do these lives for you guys, because I do enjoy them. But we're here. Shout out to you, Brandon. Ricardo says, I think it was arranged for a Canelo rematch. I really hope not. Please. The last thing I want is for Canelo to get another opportunity, because if the guy does so much as win 3 rounds, they're going to give him a fight. They're going to give him the fight. So I don't want that. Man, I don't want to see Canelo rematch. We got to see Beterbiev. Exactly. 50-50 fight. It's tough either way you pick it. Both guys are great fighters. Both guys, honestly, every fight they have, it seems like they're both making a case of not just being the best fighters in boxing right now, but some of the best light heavyweights to ever put on boxing gloves. And I don't say that lightly. How do you compare Gvozdyk and Bivol? That's a great question, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin from Chicago. Gvozdyk was an excellent fighter. I think a lot of people forget how great and how good Gvozdyk was when Beterbiev defeated him. Gvozdyk, I think he had a lot of the Eastern European style, but where I think him and Bivol are ultimately different is that I think Bivol is more versatile with his feints. I think Bivol has a more educated right hand. I think Bivol varies the jab a lot more than he does. But Gvozdyk is a very good fighter. So that's how I would say they're different. Box Talk 101. Shout out to my man Freddie again. He says, fuck all the guys at 135 that aren't fighting each other. What about the 2 that are fighting each other? Michelle Rivera and Frank Martin. Absolutely. This is a great matchup, those 2. I made a video about it today. It'll be out tomorrow morning. But anyway, good fight. You know, Michelle Rivera, he's been a guy that, you know, I'm familiar with him because, he trains right here in South Florida at the Caicedo Sports Training Center. So I know him pretty good over the years. One of the best jabs at 135. And how good and effective that jab is going to get thoroughly and severely tested when he fights a southpaw, an explosive southpaw, a quick southpaw, an athletic southpaw in the Ghost, Frank Martin. So really excited about that matchup. Really excited that PBC and Al Heyman, they've been under a lot of criticism because of this whole fight between the 2 divas at welterweight isn't happening. But you know what? I can't be biased. I don't really care about. I'm not like a fan of promoters. I just watch whoever is delivering great fights. That's who I'm gonna give the credit to. So like, shout out to Al Heyman and PBC. They just made Plant versus Benavidez. They're closing out the year strong with Frank Martin versus Michelle Rivera, which I personally think is one of the best fights they've put together this year. Like, this has been a very forgettable year for PBC. There's been a lot of unnecessary pay-per-views that have been, shoved down the public's throats for good, bad, or indifferent. So it's very good. It's very good that they're closing the year off strong with 2 guys who are undefeated. I think this fight serves a bigger purpose. I think both these guys wind up fighting. The winner of this fight, I should say, the winner of Michelle Rivera versus Frank Martin fights Gervonta Davis next year, first fight. That's my prediction for that. Let me see. Michael Manning says that was great, Mendoza. God bless Mississippi. Yeah, man, Brian Mendoza, he got a sense of humor. He definitely, deserves a big fight next. And I'm hoping, personally, for me, I think Julian Williams be a good fight. Julian Williams, Jarrett Hurd, Tony Harrison, Eric Salubin he called out. I mean, there's a lot of good fights out there for him. Danny Garcia, which is a fight I would like to see for him. There's a lot of good fights out there for Labala. And I'm just happy now that with that win, his name's in the mix, because it was frustrating for me. I don't even know Brian like that, but just seeing him at the gym, and seeing how hard he works, and seeing him live the life, and fight these guys like Jesus Ramos and come up a little short. I'm just happy that he finally broke through, and it shows you that when you pound that pavement and you work hard, you'll always break through at some point in life. Let me see. Hawker Mustang, shout out to him. He says, I guess I'm going to have to drop Gilberto Ramirez from my pound list. Yes, because that was one of the most disappointing performances in a big fight I can remember in a long time. It was bad. I mean, obviously he was the underdog for a reason, because Bivol is such a great fighter, but he didn't even try to make it a fight. He just sat there and tried to box him. So I really want to know from his corner, like from his trainer, Julian Chua, like, why on earth did you guys not press Bivol? It looks like you guys were just content. Who should Bivol fight next, considering Beterbiev fight will not likely happen until late next year? Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you who we should fight. You know what? That's the perfect question, Ricardo. I'm gonna answer your question now. I was gonna save this for later on in the live, but we're gonna go right to screen share. All right. We're gonna go right to screen share for this one. All right. So let's go to screen share. Shout out to all of you guys here. Make sure you smash the like button. It's the untouchable. True. No. It's not True School Sports, but not the untouchable until tomorrow. This is Zotto Exposed by Canelo. All right. No, not by Canelo. Not yet, at least. By Bivol. All right. So let's go over here. You're asking me who do I think Bivol should fight next? Well, if we can't fight Beterbiev next, I think there's only one logical opponent that he should fight next. Now, you ready? I don't know if you guys are ready for this one, but the guy that should fight Bivol, if we can't get Beterbiev Undisputed next, is none other than the Spider, Craig Richards. Yes, give me Craig Richards versus Bivol too, because the way I see it, Canelo Alvarez and Zotto both did significantly worse than the Craig Richards. I can't believe I'm saying this shit, but I remember watching this fight with Craig Richards and Bivol. Richards was like real tall, real lanky. Bivol was coming off of a layoff. He gave him some fits. He gave him a really, really tough fight. And that was a good win for Bivol, because for those of you who really follow boxing, Richards had just defeated Shakan Pitters as the underdog for the British title in a fight that he was not supposed to win, that people counted him out in. And Bivol beat a very confident, very determined Craig Richards. And, look, if you go back and you look at the fight, here's the scorecards from the fight. Steve Gray had at 115, 114. This guy, Yuri, had at 115, 113. And then they had this ridiculous 118, 110 scorecard, which I don't agree with. But it was a close fight. Craig Richards did better against Bivol than Zotto and Canelo did, and that's a damn shame. I was calling Zotto the real Mexican, but truth be told, I think Zotto and Canelo have both disgraced their country by their lack of performance against Dmitry Bivol. There's no shame in losing. There's no shame in falling short in life. But what cannot be tolerated and cannot be accepted is the lack of trying, or the lack of doing your best. Like, Canelo lost to Bivol, and then a month later, or like the week of the Golovkin fight, he's saying that Bivol didn't beat me because he was better. Bivol beat me because I got tired. Zotto, after the fight, couldn't give Bivol his just due respect and say that Bivol won the fight. No, he said he won the fight, when in all reality, he won. I only gave him 3 rounds. And people were even saying I was being generous. So, truth be told, I know if Beterbiev Bivol doesn't happen next, that we're probably going to get Buatsi versus Bivol. And Buatsi, in all fairness, did beat Craig Richards. But fuck it, man. Give the Spider a shot. Give him another shot, because the way his performance is aging quite nicely in comparison to that of Canelo in Zotto, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's the perfect segue into what I wanted to get into initially, which was the CompuBox numbers. And shout out to everybody here. Make sure you smash the like button. I'll get to your comments in a second. But I wanted to break down these CompuBox numbers because I thought these CompuBox numbers were rather interesting. As you can see right here, Bivol landed 131 punches out of 643 thrown. Zotto landed 107 punches out of 878 thrown. Now, Zotto apparently landed 63 body shots. I do remember Zotto, landing some good sneaky body shots. But what I found most interesting, and I want to highlight this to you guys. I don't know if you guys heard the stat before the fight, but according to the CompuBox, Bivol had not been outlanded in any round for any fight in like 5 years, according to CompuBox. Punches landed per round. In this fight, Zotto landed more punches than Bivol in the second round, in the third round, in the 9th round, and in the 10th round. So he actually outlanded Bivol in the 4 of the 12 rounds. So maybe the Zotto performance was better than we want to give him credit for, because we expected a little bit more from him. But albeit, besides that, I mean, it doesn't matter. Look, Bivol wasn't even at his best. Truth be told, Bivol wasn't even at his optimum best. He didn't land a whole lot of punches. I remember watching the fight, watching some of the rounds, and saying to myself, well, Bivol won the round, but he didn't land a whole lot of punches. He only landed 20% of his punches, according to CompuBox. So that validates what I'm saying. But it doesn't matter. Even his 20% is still damn near 10% of what his opponent did in Zotto. So it goes to show you that Bivol has a way of neutralizing his opponents. He has a way of making them inaccurate. He has a way of getting in and getting out with his feet. He's got a way with the feints, whether it be the foot feints, the probing with the jab, the darting in, the darting out. It doesn't matter. Bivol just knows how to win. He's a winner. People say, like, I hear people who don't like Bivol and want to discredit him for whatever reason. They say, oh, well, Bivol doesn't knock people out. Bivol doesn't do this. Bivol doesn't do that. Bivol wins, and Bivol wins effectively. He has mastered the art of how to outbox people, and you can love him or you can hate him, but he's just the best. He's just the best and most technically proficient fighter we have in our sport today, and that's just what it is. So accept it. But yeah, pretty interesting. Gilberto Ramirez actually outlanded Bivol in 4 of the 12 rounds. So that was pretty interesting. But there's that. Also, going into the next thing, Bivol had the famous quote after the fight, and I wanted to reread it to you guys and kind of get my extended thoughts on this. He said, and I quote, "The lion is not the biggest animal in the jungle. Although he is bigger than me, it doesn't matter." And what a beautiful quote by Dmitry Bivol. Because the last fight, when he fought Canelo Alvarez, all I heard was that Bivol just beat Canelo because he was bigger than Canelo. And in all reality, I said, no, he didn't beat Canelo because he's bigger than Canelo. He beat Canelo because he was more skilled than Canelo. And then he fights Zotto, a guy who could probably compete at heavyweight. He's so damn big. And he proved what I said to be true, that just because a guy was bigger or smaller, size didn't matter. When you have the skills, like Dmitry Bivol, the skills pay the bills. It doesn't matter. And he showed the world again what high-level, elite, world-class, creme de la creme, top-shelf boxing is all about. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to Bivol. Now, I saw this tweet from this random guy on Twitter, John Angus McDonald. Whoever you are, shout out to you. He said, Bivol is a master of his craft. Ramirez is a good fighter, but the Russian made him appear to be ordinary. Bivol's ability to dictate pace and distance ruins every opponent's game plan. We need to see Bivol and Beterbiev fight to determine who is the best light heavyweight on earth, and I agree with that. And I truly believe that the winner of that fight should be the pound number one fighter in boxing, because the way I look at that fight, and I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, so you can let me know in the comments, but the way I see that fight, Bivol and Beterbiev, I see that as the two best in boxing at a particular skill. Bivol is the best overall boxer, pure boxer in the sport. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I know people may say Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or Usyk, but nah, man, no. Bivol is beating all kinds of styles. He's beating tall southpaws, tall orthodox fighters, pressure fighters, brawlers, swarmers. I mean, they put Bivol through the ringer with every style. Think about how different Joe Smith, Canelo, Zotto, Craig Richards, Salamov, who else did he fight? Just a lot of guys. John Pascal. Think about how different all these guys' dimensions and their styles are, and think about what the result is every time. Sullivan Barrera, the result's the same every time. A Bivol win, and more times than not, a Bivol UD. So Beterbiev, we know he has that elite world-class amateur pedigree. We know that Beterbiev has the boxing skills. We know he has the power, because we know what Beterbiev does. We know that Beterbiev, he's not coming here to play with you. He's coming here to put you in a straight body bag, but he does it in such an intelligent and amazing fashion that basically, like, you got to be on your P's and Q's, because look at what happened to Joe Smith. Joe Smith Jr. fought the wrong game plan. Joe Smith Jr. decided to press Artur Beterbiev, and before you know it, Artur Beterbiev just stepping back and just hitting him with big ass counters, and he's getting him out of there in 2 rounds. And I was there that night, and it was worth every dollar I paid to watch him fight. So I think the boxing skills of Beterbiev would have to come out more in that fight. Bivol would have to, and I keep saying this for like every fight I see with Bivol, but he's so good that it never happens. But Bivol would have to dig into all the way into his toolbox and really show everything to beat a guy like Beterbiev, because Beterbiev is something special, and he's shown that in every fight so far, going all the way back to the Alexander Gvozdyk fight, even before that. So I would agree with that. A couple more things on Bivol versus Zotto, and then we'll get to the comments. Shout out to all you guys here. Now, Boxing Legends TV on Twitter, he said this, and I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on this. Shout out to Boxing Legends TV, an absolute legend here on YouTube for boxing. Guys had like millions of subscribers and a lot of views, done a lot of great highlight videos over the years, so shout out to him. But he says, Bivol is the final form of Eastern European boxing, the next generation. Usyk and Loma made people forget what the style is all about. Tall, straight lines, high guard with everything coming off the jab. His style is the meta. It is the hardest to beat. And I think he made a great assessment. Before Usyk and Loma, people used to always think about the Eastern European style as like, kind of like Victor Postal, Victor Postal, tall, upright, 1-2, straight lines, fundamentally sound, those type of things. Then like Usyk and Loma came along, and as the athletic, swift southpaws they kind of made people forget about what an Eastern European fighter is. But then Bivol's coming, and he just revolutionized everything. The guy, the feints he has, the footwork he has, his ability to disguise his right hand, his ability to change where he's throwing his jab. He's just a world-class fighter at the highest level on earth. And I think Pernell Whitaker, God rest his soul, he prophesied this. He prophesied about this many years ago when he said that Bivol had everything it took to go all the way and be the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in boxing. And the way I see it, if he beats Artur Beterbiev, he is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in boxing, and there should be no question about it. So yeah, great assessment there from Boxing Legends TV. And then the last thing about Bivol that I had on my screen share is the odds. Shout out to proboxingodds.com on Twitter. These are the opening odds for Bivol versus Beterbiev for my gamblers out there. Bivol is right now a slight favorite at -130. Artur Beterbiev is a +100. So it's not like a massive gap, and that'll probably change with time because betting odds move all the time. But right now, Artur Beterbiev actually, for the first time in his career, opens up as the betting underdog against an opponent. So that should tell you everything right there you need to know about just how good, how dangerous, and just the level that Bivol is operating at right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So make of that what you will. But it's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're here. It is 6:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me see. We got some hold on, we got some spam in the chat. Let me get that spam out of here. But yeah, shout out to everyone here. Let me see. Block that guy. Get that guy out of here. Let me see. Eddie Morales says, where's Eddie at? My computer is a bit slow right now. Let me see. I see a Hawker Mustang in the comments. Where's Eddie at? I just saw Eddie's comment. Eddie, where's Eddie's comment? Where's Eddie's? There it is. He says, Canelo fans' new excuse is saying that he did better than Zotto. Yeah, I know quite a few Canelo fans that messaged me yesterday because they know I like Zotto, and they said, I told you Zotto was a hype job, and they're just kind of like trying to using Zotto and his trash performance to deflect from the trash performance that Canelo had. But listen, always remember, it was always Canelo exposed by Bivol first. Never forget that. And remember, I'm only leaving this shit as Zotto exposed by Bivol for like until tomorrow. Canelo exposed by Bivol is forever. So never forget that. He got shut out. Hawker Mustang says, I think Canelo versus Bivol or Canelo versus Zotto will be a good fight. It will be a good fight. They know each other. They used to do a lot of sparring. I would like that fight, but I would tell you this. if Zotto tries to hold his ground in the pocket against Canelo the way he did against Bivol, he's gonna get fucked up. He needs to, I don't know, man. He needs to impose himself in the fight. I've seen him do it in other, fights against other opponents, but last night really kind of pissed me off. Let me see. Craig deserves a rematch. He does. Craig Richards does deserve a rematch. They always want to hate on my boy, the Spider. The Spider Richards, he went in there against Bivol and he did his thing much more than these two boxing superstars, Canelo and Zotto. It's getting ridiculous. The most overrated comment of the weekend has been 44 have tried and 44 have failed. Well, I want to say this about Zotto's resume because I see everybody who doesn't like Zotto that was picking Bivol. They say, well, I told you Zotto never fought anybody. So they kind of feel like because Bivol went in there and schooled Zotto, it means that Zotto didn't fight anybody, which still isn't true. Like anybody who actually was following Zotto's career when he fought, like, okay, I know he's not a big name now, but when he fought Jesse Hart, that was like a big deal. Jesse Hart was a contender. Jesse Hart was pretty hyped up by Top Rank. Jesse Hart was a guy that a lot of people were high on. And Zotto popped that balloon not once, but twice. Beat him twice. Same thing goes for, like, he beat Maxime Vlasov years ago. Vlasov went on to challenge Joe Smith Jr. for the world title, and people thought he beat Joe Smith. But Zotto beat him years before that. So he beat him. He beat Artur Abraham, who was a solid body. He had to fight with Yuniesky Gonzalez and stopped him, unlike Jean Pascal, who went the whole distance with Yuniesky Gonzalez. And a lot of people thought that Yuniesky Gonzalez was robbed against Jean Pascal. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not trying to sit here and say that Gilberto Ramirez fought like nothing but killers because he didn't, but he didn't fight like, quote unquote bums either. He fought a lot of good, solid, top level professional fighters, but you can't say that. All right. You can't say these kind of things and be rational in boxing. You got to either be on one side of the extreme or be on the other. It's either got to be fuck Zotto or we love Zotto. It's got to be either with fuck Crawford or we love Crawford, and vice versa with Spence. I mean, it's the same thing with every other, rivalry in boxing. So I get it. Carlos Mendoza says the Mexicutioner. Yes. Bivol is the next Mexicutioner in boxing. He joins, Manny Pacquiao and Roman Gonzalez as fellow Mexicutioners, guys that have fought, and Floyd Mayweather, guys that have fought a lot of Mexican fighters in big fights and beat them soundly. So yeah, I would say that's justified. At this point, Bivol has been beating so many Mexican fighters, they should give that man Mexican citizenship. He's deserved it. How about versus Lulunga Makabu? Talking about Zotto, I think that'd be a good fight. Zotto versus Makabu would be a good fight if Zotto could get it. But Makabu just got called out. I didn't make a video about this yet, but Makabu got called out this week by Ahmed El Bialy, a fellow Don King fighter, Ahmed El Bialy, who will be competing at cruiserweight. He wants to fight Makabu for the WBC title, so I would actually like that fight more than Zotto, just because I feel like I want to see Ahmed El Bialy get his shot. Makabu and Ahmed El Bialy are both from Africa. They're Don King fighters. Don King likes to take fighters to Africa, so it'd be Egypt versus Congo. Make that shit happen. And I'm gonna go for my boy Ahmed. South Florida stand up. Was Makabu with Don King because he was looking for a check? Absolutely. I don't know why. I mean, look, I'm not here to criticize anybody's business moves. At the end of the day, these fighters do their own thing, no matter what I say or what anybody tells them. They're their own men. But, like, I don't understand why any fighter would sign with Don King in 2022 going into 2023. Don King doesn't really have dates. Don King really doesn't have, like, a lot of power in boxing outside of his influence with the WBA. So all you could really do with Don King is sign a contract with him and cross your fingers as the WBA give you a title shot, but then you're going to be inactive. So when you get your shot, you're going to have some ring rust. You're going to have some things to work through. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like the only way I could see any fighter signing with Don King and it being justifiable is if he's burned bridges with every other promoter in boxing, or if like every other promoter in boxing doesn't want that fighter. You know what I'm saying? So my man right here says, I had always thought before the fight that the only trouble that Zotto would have presented Bivol was his size, but he didn't even use it in the fight. No, he didn't. He was big for no reason. He was big for no reason. He fought Bivol like a teddy bear, and the roles in the fight were reversed. Like a lot of people came into the fight with the expectation that Bivol was going to be boxing and moving, and Zotto would be coming forward, but that's not what happened. Bivol completely disrespected Zotto, stayed in the pocket, and outboxed him easily. And Zotto didn't want to come forward because I think it was the second or third round. Bivol hit him with a straight right hand. Boom. And I saw how Zotto reacted to it, and he looked like he had the fear of God put into him. He looked like somebody, you know, I don't know, man. Like he got hit by a right hand, and he didn't know. He didn't know what to do after that. It was almost like he got touched with one right hand by Bivol because it was so fast, it was so sharp, it was so precise. He got touched by it, and all of a sudden, before you know it, he went into survival mode. He went into survival mode. I don't think Zotto really tried to throw any punches with conviction. A lot of those punches that he was throwing, because I went back and I did watch the highlights, a lot of those punches he was throwing were more like safety punches to kind of like keep Bivol away from him so Bivol wouldn't line him up for that big-ass right hand. He was scared of that right hand. He was unwilling to take any more of that right hand. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. Edgar Alas, he says Callum Smith versus Bivol will be his stay busy fight. That'd be a good fight. You know, Callum Smith has been getting some good wins at light heavyweight. You know, he hasn't really fought any punchers. I think if he fought Bivol probably the biggest puncher he's fought at light heavyweight. So that fight would have a chance to be like Zotto 2.0. You know, he might be the British Zotto because he's kind of like a similar fighter, a fighter that is big for the weight class, tall, he's lanky, he's a guy that wins fights because of his size and his strength, and I think it'll be very similar to Zotto, honestly. But hey, he's a name. He's a guy who was lineal champion at 168, Ring Magazine champion. So he's got some cachet. He's got a name, and the knockouts he's gotten against like Lenin Castillo and Mateo Badalic and these kind of guys, that's giving him some momentum to potentially get a fight. So you might be onto something there, Edgar. You might be onto something there. Edgar also says Canelo can't beat Bivol at any weight. You know, maybe he can't, but them judges can give him a decision at any weight. So that's why I don't want to see it. I'm fearful that boxing, corruption, and the politics of the sport will do anything to get Canelo Alvarez back on top. So then they can spin the narrative that Canelo Alvarez overcame adversity. He'll get like a gift decision, and then, you know, they could continue to make more money off of him. Because unfortunately, because of where we're at in boxing right now, there's not really a whole lot of stars because the stars don't fight. Like Crawford don't fight, Spence don't fight often. Canelo is probably the most active boxing superstar, so to speak. So, and boxing promoters are lazy, so they'll do anything to get him back on top. And that's why I'm so adamant about Bivol. I don't care. Don't take the rematch. You beat him in such a devastating, easy fashion the first time. There's no reason to do it again. Like I said this in the recent video that I made. I said, if we didn't know the names, let's say Bivol's fighter A and Canelo's fighter B. If fighter A won 11 or 12 rounds against fighter B, would fighter B deserve a rematch against fighter A? You would probably say no, but because it's Canelo, the boxing media and these guys like Chris Mannix who are nothing but puppets for the networks, these guys they keep pushing that narrative of like, we need the Canelo rematch. And it's like, no, he does not deserve a rematch. He didn't do enough based on his performance to get a rematch. Truth be told, Craig Richards, again, I'm going to reiterate it again. Craig Richards did more to get a Bivol rematch than Canelo did. And that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? I see my boy. Where is he at? I see him. Hold on. I want to make sure I highlight his comment and show the brother some love. My man Johnny from Johnny's Comeback Talking News. Make sure you guys go go subscribe to Johnny Boy. You know, some people love him, some people hate him, but who cares? He keeps it all the way as Spade, no matter how you like it. He says BT changed the channel name and everything. Yeah, I don't think you. I think when Canelo fought Bivol, you were like you weren't on YouTube because you had stuff going on. I think you were like in jail or whatever. But when Canelo lost to Bivol, that was the best time, Johnny. That was the funniest. I changed the channel name for 2 weeks. My channel name for 2 weeks was Canelo Exposed by Bivol, and I had people pissed for like 2 weeks. All the Canelo fans were like, "This guy, Canelo hater. This guy hate Mexicans." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? All my ex-girlfriends are Mexican, so fuck are you talking about?" You know. But yeah, we did it again. I'm doing it again because Zotto let me down yesterday. He didn't perform at all, so he deserves it. Shout out to my man Johnny Cortijo. He says Racing won the title in overtime. Shout out to Racing. Argentina, the best soccer team in Argentina, Racing Club. Tell Daniel I said hi, Johnny. Let me see. Edgar, he says, I love the channel. Brian Mendoza is the next champion at 160. You know what? I'm so happy for him, and I will continue to like talk about it. Anytime you guys mention Brian Mendoza, I'm just gonna smile and be happy because, you know, I meet a lot of fighters through boxing, going to gyms here in South Florida, and then when I travel, not all of them obviously wind up becoming great fighters, but you know, this is a guy in Mendoza. I kid you not. I've gone to the Salas gym like 10 times, like 10 times. At all 10 times I've gone to the Salas gym, this guy is there. It doesn't matter if I went in the morning. Doesn't matter if I went in the middle of the afternoon, late in the afternoon. He's always there, always working hard. So it's good to see a hardworking fighter like him who's been getting top sparring with like Caleb Plant, Arizeni Lara on a regular basis. All these guys. He's getting world-class sparring with all these guys on a regular basis, and he's improved exponentially over the last year. So I'm happy for him. You see, if Bivol beats Beterbiev and becomes undisputed, and this has been Carlos, is that a better run to undisputed than Usyk? I would say so. I would definitely say so because he beat Canelo, he beat Zotto, he beat Joe Smith, he beat John Pascal, he beat Craig Richards coming off the biggest win of his career, and then he would have beat Beterbiev. So how could you say that's not? How could you say that's not better than Usyk? I like Usyk, and I think Usyk's run right now of all the guys that are undisputed, I think Usyk's run right now is the best one because when he went undisputed at cruiserweight, it was the deepest weight class in boxing. But right, if Bivol beats Beterbiev, it's not even a contest. It really isn't. You know, so I would say yeah. Canelo doesn't deserve a rematch. Period. And this is from my man Ray, but he says Canelo doesn't deserve a rematch, period. They ain't asking him to get a rematch with Floyd. LOL, come on now. Yeah, like, let's be fair, guys. Like, stop. Because what you guys are doing, see, for me, because I'm a boxing fan, and I care about all the fighters, the big names and the small names. Okay? When you keep asking these tired-ass questions, and I'm talking to the media out there, the fight hubs and the fight hypes and the behind the gloves, all the channels, like, when you all keep asking these tired-ass questions about Will Bivol give Canelo a rematch? What you're doing is you're disrespecting all the other fighters in the rankings that haven't got that shot yet, that haven't got a chance, that deserve it more than him. It's not their fault. Canelo could only win like one round against Bivol. It's not their fault. You know? Boxing pound for pound, Jack says Beterbiev KOs Bivol inside 10 rounds, in my opinion. That's a good, you know, listen, I'm not mad. If you pick Bivol or Beterbiev, I'm not mad at all because they're both great. Yeah, Johnny, like it's just getting ridiculous. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and hate on the next man or hate on Canelo, but if he was anybody else, like I said it in the video, like when Sean Porter fought Keith Thurman in a great fight that was close, or to where you could at least say he did better than Canelo did against Bivol. I didn't see reporters shoving their microphones down Keith Thurman's throat, asking him every time he did an interview, will you rematch Sean Porter? Same thing goes for like Adrian Granados, who's been robbed a bunch of times. I didn't see every reporter in boxing shoving the microphones down. Adrian Broner started asking, why won't you give Adrian Granados a rematch and things like that. When Callum Smith got a good decision against John Ryder, I didn't see every boxing reporter on earth shoving a microphone down Callum Smith's throat, asking if Callum Smith, will give John Ryder a rematch. Every interview for like months on end. So don't do this shit with Canelo. Like, come on. I think Bivol should move on to bigger and better things. Canelo can focus on Demetrius and Charlo. Somebody with talent want to shut out Canelo. He should give him a chance. I agree. And, I'm not the biggest fan of Andre, but listen, if there was ever a time for Canelo to fight Andre, I think it'd be soon. I know it's not going to happen, but be nice. It'd be a nice fight. Be a good build-up. It definitely would answer a lot of questions about, Andre and the whole Canelo situation. So, yeah. Johnny Boy said, hold on. He said, yeah, I was locked up when that happened. When I got word back in jail as to who won, I was jumping on the tables in jail. I almost got sent to the hole. Listen, I was going crazy. It was one of the greatest days in boxing history. Like, boxing has been so much better since that day, because like now every time one of these Canelo fans wants to sit up here and pop junk about how great Canelo is, like, don't get me wrong, he's beat some good fighters, but like, you can just bring him back down a level and just tell him to go rewatch the Bivol fight. It's great. Let me see. My man Johnny says, Brian is improving every time I see him. And that's the important thing for a fighter is to improve. You only get but so much time to have a boxing career, and, you have to make the best of it. So, yeah. Edgar says he wants to see Brian Mendoza versus Charlo. So let me find out. Brian Mendoza knocks out Jason Rosario, and Brian Mendoza is one of the most talked about fighters in the 154 division. So yeah, man, I would love to see that fight. I mean, maybe not Charlo right away. I would like to see Brian get a fight, because Charlo's already locked in. Charlo's gonna fight. I don't know which Charlo you're talking about, but if you're talking about Jamel's gonna fight Tim Tszyu. Now, if you're talking about Jamal, I wouldn't be against that, but I would want to see Brian get a chance to fight maybe like Julian Williams, because that was the fight that he was supposed to get last year. And I think he can beat Julian Williams. I think that's a good fight. Edgar says Jason Rosario's last one on TV was against J-Rock. All these 54-pounders are cursed, all of them. Tony Harrison, Jarrett Hurd, Jason Rosario, Charlo, all of them. They all are. It's a better run of Undisputed, but it still wouldn't be better pound for pound better than Usyk. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, because it's not, you don't see heavyweights go up or cruiserweights go up and beat up on top heavyweights 2 times in a row. So I would agree with that. Child of the King says, "Where's Pops? Pops is chilling right now. He's enjoying the Sunday, so we going solo dolo today." But we're here, man. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm appreciative of everybody here. You got my man Thomas H. I see you in the comments. Hold on. Where is he? Thomas H. Where is he? Thomas H. He says, casuals have the money, or so promoters think, but I like what players are doing for the NBA media to take power away from the lamestream media. Well, I think that's a like, I have an opinion on NBA media because I used to be part of the NBA media when I was young. I hated it. And it's definitely different than boxing, but I just think, look, man, at some point in boxing, I get it's a business, but when you see that a fighter got exposed and dominated, you don't sit there and try to make unnecessary rematch. We're not doing that. Like, we're not gonna do that, bro. The reason why everybody talks about Canelo, and this is from my man Sal, is because he's the only one willing to jump up and down a weight and fighting world champion after world champion, taking the toughest challenges in boxing. Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Because I didn't know that Roman Gonzalez died. I didn't know that Alexander Usyk died. When did those guys retire from the sport of boxing? Because those guys are definitely moving up and down in weight and fighting top guys. And if you want, in the case of Roman Gonzalez, he's been doing it for like the better part of a decade plus. Okay, so I don't want to. That's a bullshit narrative that DAZN and Chris Mannix And a lot of these boxing YouTube channels like to propagate and shove down everybody's throat, but it's not true. Now, has Canelo jumped up and down the weight and fought some good fighters? Yes, he has. But is he the only one doing it? No, he's not. So let's not be disingenuous here. That's not fair. Let me see. Edgar. Now, Edgar, he's asking an interesting question. Edgar said, where is he? Edgar, where are you at? What are your thoughts on Berlanga? Do you think he's a hype job? I think Berlanga needs a lot of work. Whoever commented that. Ray. Berlanga needs a lot of work. Just like Munguia needs a lot of work. Is your channel all about Bivol? Because I've seen people's channels all based off of Crawford. No, it's not. I like Bivol. Bivol is a great fighter, Edgar, but no, this channel is about the sport of boxing. I've literally covered every weight class in boxing, from 108 all the way up to heavyweight, So no, I mean, just last night, I made a video about every fight that happened on the Showtime undercard. I made a video about Andre Durrell beating Unias Gonzalez. I made a video about the dude Fedor, the Polish dude that beat Nathaniel Gallimore. I made a video about Brian Mendoza obviously beating Rosario. So no, absolutely not. But there are a lot of channels that are based off Crawford and Spence because a lot of these people just don't know shit about boxing. Shout out to everyone here. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. This is the Aftermath show here on Sunday night here in South Florida. Hope everybody's doing great and everybody's had a great week. Let's hope this week for everybody is a great week going forward. Make sure you guys do what you got to do. Don't be procrastinating. Get what you need to get done in life done. Go to the gym. Call whoever it is you need to call. Do what you got to do. Just make your life as good as possible. Jason Rosario did the right thing to retire. He made his money. He became a champion. Yeah, and you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's go back to screen share because I did have some other things I wanted to talk about. Okay. Now, Jason Rosario, shout out to him. I like Jason Rosario. I got a soft spot for Jason Rosario. He had his best training camps and he had his best moments in his boxing career while training right here in South Florida with his former coach and a dear friend of mine, Luis Chiro Perez, a magnificent trainer. Now, he's been knocked out at all points of his career. He got knocked out against Nathaniel Gallimore. He got knocked out against Jamel Charlo. He got knocked out against Eric Lubin. And he got knocked out against Brian Mendoza. So that's 4 stoppage losses in his career. This is a guy that he doesn't have a lot of durability. Now, I would label Jason Rosario an overachiever because based on what we know now and what we saw even before he became champion, durability wasn't exactly a strength of his. And he overachieved. He got that one great win against Julian Williams. He had a good fight with Jamonte Clark, but I think that might have been a draw. But I remember he fought Jamonte Clark, who was a good contender at 54. He knocked him out the ring, but I don't remember if he won or if it was a draw. So somebody can let me know about that fight. But here's what he said last night. Here's what Rosario said last night about his career in the sport. He said, I quote, "I think it's time to say goodbye. I'm not fighting anymore. I'm going to retire. I have accomplished a lot. It was good, but my career stops here. The most important thing is that I'm still healthy. I feel bad that I couldn't give the Dominican people the result they hoped for, but I love you all, and I thank you all for the support through the years." End quote. So there you have it. Now, I see my man Dandada says that Jason Rosario was a one-hit wonder. And rightfully so, he may have been a one-hit wonder, but boy, what a hit it was. What a hit it was, because I remember it perfectly. He fought Julian Williams. After Julian Williams had just defeated Jarrett Hurd to become the unified champion. Julian Williams was coming off of a career best performance, and PBC was trying to line up Julian Williams to fight Tony Harrison in a unification fight next, but he had to get through Rosario, which if I'm not mistaken, I believe Rosario was like a 7-1 or 8-1 underdog. He was a pretty big underdog, and he beat the brakes off of him. And that was his one moment in the sun. But guess what? There's a lot of fighters in boxing much more talented than Jason Rosario who have put on boxing gloves and never had a night like that or never became unified champion. So he's gone farther than most people. I think he can hold his head high. And, best wishes to him, man. I have nothing bad to say about him. Even if he was a one-hit wonder, he got in there. He got in there and he fought, some of the best names of his era. So you can't down and disrespect a guy like that. But, his time has come and his time has went, and it's time to, move on to the next phase of his life. I'm just happy that Jason Rosario recognizes that, hey, there's a problem. My durability ain't up to par, and he's getting out the sport. Another thing, too, with Jason Rosario, and I don't know why this happened with him in his career, but, like, Jason Rosario, after he lost to Charlo, he started this string of changing trainers like he changed his clothes. Like, he won the unified title when Luis Chiro Perez was his trainer. He loses to Charlo. He gets rid of Luis Chiro Perez. He stays in South Florida. He starts training with Herman Caicedo for the Eric Salubin fight. Eric Salubin stops Jason Rosario. He then gets rid of Caicedo, and then he joins Chino Rivas out there in Orlando, who was Tevin Farmer's trainer. So I think that also may have played a bit of a role too, because you can't be changing trainers like that. It's just not good for a fighter. I mean, a lot of fighters do it, but at some point you got to stick with somebody. And I think he had that problem as he was, as his career was progressing, as he was trying to progress his career. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. We here, man. Hawker Mustang says, some of you haters need to put a little more respect on Canelo Alvarez's name. Well, you know what? I've done that. I think that even though I like to talk a lot of trash and piss people off, because when I say good things about Canelo, they still say I'm a hater. So I can't change nobody's mind. But like, I think the whole Crawford Spence situation has made me appreciate Canelo Alvarez. I mean, Jesus, these guys. We're about to have our second World Cup, and these guys still haven't fought, because they were talking about Crawford and Spence before the last World Cup in 2018, right? 4 years done went by. We're like 2 weeks away from the World Cup, and they still haven't fought. So, I think in that regard, I've really come to appreciate Canelo in that regard. But J-Rock and Hometown, the title defense was a true banana peel back then. It was. And that was a magical night. You're not a real champion if you don't defend your belt. Okay, but a lot of guys don't even win a belt. A lot of guys don't even win a belt. I get what you're saying, and to an extent, I agree with you, but a lot of guys don't even win a belt, let alone become a unified champion. So I'm just saying, you got to respect that achievement, especially when you're a guy like Jason Rosario, who, let's face it, we got all these Dominican fighters now. Like we got Michelle Rivera, we got Frenchie Fortunato, we got Edwin De Los Santos, who burst onto the scene recently, Hector Luis Garcia, Alberto Puello. These guys are all doing great now, but I would actually argue that Jason Rosario may have had it a little bit harder than those guys, because I think those guys got the investment placed into them in boxing due to Jason Rosario, because before Jason Rosario beat Julian Williams, there were Dominicans in boxing, but there wasn't like a ton of investment in Dominican boxing. That win against Julian Williams for Dominican boxing is a lot more significant than people realize. And I would even argue today that what we're seeing in boxing here in 2022 with all these Dominicans winning and doing great, I would actually say Jason Rosario is really the guy that was a catalyst for all this. But nobody talks about that. Diego Zamora says, boxing is a business. You guys don't get the point. Okay, it is a business. We get all that. We know Canelo sells tickets because the Mexican fans get behind him and they want to go to the MGM Grand and they want to have a night out and they want to listen to Vicente Fernandez and Chalino Sanchez and all the great Mexican corridos singers. They want to do all that stuff. We get all that. But the motherfucker won one round, maybe, against Bivol. He don't deserve a rematch. So I don't care if it's a business. And neither does Bivol. Bivol don't care if it's a business, because Bivol has made his intentions perfectly known. I beat Canelo. It wasn't a big deal. I won undisputed. That's what's a big deal to Bivol. And that's why I feel like boxing fans need to appreciate this man, because a lot of fighters in this position would say, fuck undisputed. I want to fight with Canelo. you know. Let me see. BT, can you explain to me how PBC pulled off that card with 5,500 seats and 4 to 5 former title holders and challengers on one card, and then they're going to make Rivera versus Martin on a headline without? Are you talking about last night's card? Well, it's the Armory. It's the Armory, so the site fees to fight at a venue like that are not going to be that high. I'm sure Al Heyman has a good relationship with the people that run the venue there. They've done plenty of shows there. I haven't looked at the Michelle Rivera Frank Martin card, so I don't know who's on the undercard, who's not. Maybe if you could inform me, that'd be great. But I haven't checked the Frank Martin Michelle Rivera undercard. I just know they're fighting December 17th on Showtime. I agree with that, BT. Jason Rosario was just put up as an opponent. He was, and he overachieved. He wasn't supposed to be. Listen, he was supposed to be the guy that was used as a springboard for a Julian Williams, Tony Harrison unification fight. He was not that. He beat him. He was able to fight Jamel Charlo. He lost to Jamel Charlo to try to get the other belt. But yeah, Jason Rosario, he overachieved, and God bless him. Chance Dawson says Jason Rosario should not retire after 4 losses. He's still 27 years old, or 27 years young. And shout out to you, Chance. Hope all is good with you out there in Texas. He may be 27 years old as far as like his age, but he's not 27 years old as far as like the mileage has been put on his body. He first of all, he stayed at 154 a little bit too long, because I remember I've seen him at the gym before when he was around the time when he was fighting Charlo. It was a sharp weight cut. So he stayed there a little bit too long. So that definitely damages the body. Then you have the fact that he's not a very durable guy to begin with. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll be back, because fighters come back all the time after they say they're going to retire. But I think he's made the right decision, truthfully. Dundada says we have to be careful how we criticize these fighters when they lose. It makes other fighters not want to risk it and suffer embarrassment when they lose. Trust me, they see it. It's anti-boxing. Well, look, I know my channel name is called Zotto Exposed by Bivol. I'm just having fun. I'm not condemning Zotto for losing to a guy like a great fighter like Bivol. I only condemn guys that act like they're bigger than the sport and duck and avoid certain fighters because they don't want to fight them because they're boring and they think they fought nobody. So as long as you're not saying anything like that and putting down other hardworking fighters who put their blood, sweat, and tears on the line in this sport, then you won't really get any real criticism from me if you lose a fight. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, there was some good fights yesterday, man. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I did make a video about it, but I'll talk about it now since we're live, and we're kind of recapping yesterday that was in boxing. Did any of you guys see the fight yesterday with Andre Dirrell and Yuniesi Gonzalez? Because that was a good fight. You know, Andre Dirrell, we haven't seen or heard from Andre Dirrell in years. The last time I remember seeing Andre Dirrell, he was getting folded up like a blue steel chair against Jose Uzcategui. And he went in there against Yuniesi Gonzalez as a slight underdog. And, man, he put on a great performance. I mean, the triple jab, the left hands, the uppercuts, the athleticism was on full display. I mean, I swear to God, I could have swore we were back in like 2010 the way he was fighting. And the funny thing is, the fight was a 10-rounder, right? He stopped Yuniesi Gonzalez in the 10th round, which was also the same round that Zotto Ramirez stopped him in. So, you know, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next for Andre Dirrell in his career, like who will fight next. But, man, what a win. If you haven't watched it, I would highly advise anybody to go watch his performance against Yuniesi Gonzalez yesterday. He put on a boxing clinic. I mean, it was beautiful. I was going nuts yesterday watching him. And PBC, you know, PBC gets a lot of criticism. They do. And I'll be the first one to criticize PBC and these promotion companies sometimes, but they really knocked that card yesterday out the park. I mean, every fight was good. All the fights were good. That fight was good. I didn't watch Julian Williams' fight, but Andre Dirrell versus Gonzalez was good. You had the dude, Fedor. I can't even say his last name right now, but the guy that fought Nathaniel Gallimore, he's good, man. I had a chance to meet him like a month ago here in South Florida because he trains at a gym here in South Florida called Contenders Boxing Gym. And I was there one day I was there at Contenders one day to watch the sparring with Pete Dobson, who's a great friend of the channel. And he was supposed to spar the dude Fedor. But the dude is nice. He's long, he's rangy, he's athletic, he's got great timing, a good right hand, a good jab. He kind of reminds me, his style, how smooth he is. He reminds me of like a Dmitry Bivol, really, really good fighter. And I think that would be a good fight for Brian Mendoza. I think PBC should match up the dude Fedor, whose last name I can't say right now, but the guy who beat Nathaniel Gallimore yesterday. I want to see him against Brian Mendoza. That would be an amazing fight. Both guys are really good, high-level fighters, so why not make that one happen? That'd be a great fight for the fans. Yeah, PBC knocked out the box yesterday. We haven't even talked about the crazy thing is that's how you know the card is good. You know the card is good because I've been sitting here talking about this card for like 20, 30 minutes, and I haven't even got to the main event. I haven't even talked about David Morrell Jr. I haven't even talked about, the show that he put on yesterday because it was his 7th or 8th fight. He was taking on Ados Yurbasinuli, the Kazakhstan fighter who had knocked out Lennox Allen. For those that don't know, Lennox Allen is the only fighter that has ever taken David Morrell Jr. the distance, and he fought David Morrell fought Lennox Allen in his second pro fight. Ados fought Lennox Allen, I think his last fight or the fight before that, and he knocked him out. So, triangle theories don't work in boxing, but he had a common opponent, and it made for an interesting fight, right? But David Morrell Jr. he beat the dog shit out of Ados Yurbasinuli. It was we saw the footwork on display, we saw the hand speed on display, we saw the punch placement on display. I guess if I had a nitpick anything from David Morrell is just that, I think the defense may still need a little bit more work, but that all comes in time. And I think he needs to learn how to better manage his energy throughout the rounds. But that's also something you learn as you go throughout, your professional career. So he did great. I mean, he got the rounds in which he needed, and he got the knockout in the 12th round. And it was bad. I mean, Ados had to get taken off on a stretcher after the fight. And there was that moment after David Morrell knocked him out. There was that moment where he was like dancing and stuff. And Ados was about to fall over and fall out the ring, and David Morrell went over there to go catch him. And he kind of like walked them back to the corner. So it shows you that for as flashy as he is, he's also equally a gentleman in a good sport and has sportsmanship, and he's got dignity and class, So I got a lot of respect and a lot of time for David Morrell. I would still like to see him get one more fight before he goes in with the elites, and I think that's what he's going to get because Plant and Benavidez are tied up, so he's not going to get any one of those guys next. So. Throw him in there with like a Ronald Ellis or something like that. See what he does with that, and if he can pass that, then he's ready for the smoke at that top level. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. We got a legend in the building. We got one of the creme de la creme, top shelf, best boxing channels on YouTube here. My main man, 50 grand boxing gems. He says, I believe David Morrell is that guy. He's really coming together. He can fight Plant when Plant loses to David. Ooh, he said when Plant loses to David Benavidez. You're saying like it's a foregone conclusion. I'm good with either one. I'm good with either one. I think the matchup with him and Benavidez would be interesting because the advantage that Benavidez has over most guys is that Benavidez is naturally a big 68-pounder. He really shouldn't even be fighting at 68. He can fight a light heavyweight, and he would be a good size light heavyweight. He has the frame for it. Morrell is probably the only guy around his age at that level that we could say the same thing for, and that's why I feel like Benavidez would be severely tested against Morrell. So it should be a really good fight if it happens. I hope Samson and Luis de Cubas, whether it be the next fight or a couple fights from now, whenever, they put that fight together because David Morrell Jr., he's something to watch. Hawker Mustang says the Crawford Spence debate is frustrating. Well, I don't get into that. I've beat that like a dead horse in this channel. There's been times where I've taken sides because I like Crawford and I think he's kind of been screwed in some ways. But like I'm to a point now like I just don't care. That's why I need to watch channels like Boxing Gems to remind me of what's important, because what's important isn't these purse splits and what's important isn't these guarantees. What's ultimately important is the fights. I mean, we're not getting a cut. You're not getting a cut. I'm not getting a cut. So the only thing that should be our business as fans is the fights, and if they're happening. And if they're not happening, then that's not any sort of business that we should concern ourselves with, truth be told. Jesus M wants to know, is the Johnny Bet card good? Now, that's a good question. I've went ahead and I looked at it. I'll pull it up right now. I know we got Johnny Beck fighting Denzel Bentley in a fight where he should, respect to Bentley for taking the fight. I respect his courage to get in there and fight Johnny Beck. This is a guy in Bentley that's fallen short against like the Felix Cash of the other world. So he's going to be a major underdog, as he should. But I can't really say if it's a good card. I know we got on the card, we got Sinisa Estrada, a.k.a. Mrs. Untouchable, the wife. She's on the card. We got Emiliano Vargas is on the card. A lot of people have high hopes for him. They think he's going to be the next Mexican-American star. He's making his top-ranked debut, second pro fight. Charlie Sheehy's on the card, I think. It's a solid card. You could do better, but you could also do a lot worse. So I would just say it's a solid card. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just solid. But we'll see. Boxing Gem says, my opinion can change from fight to fight. Lomachenko did not look good. I changed my pick to Haney. Yeah, I don't blame you. I've probably been picking Haney in that fight since believe it or not, since the Linares fight, because I don't know, man. I just like when Loma beat up on Nakatani, I thought it was impressive. It was a good win. Comey was a good win, but these are guys that had already been beat up by Tio, and I feel like they were already vulnerable. The Jermaine Ortiz kind of confirmed what I already knew more of, which was that Lomachenko, for as talented of a boxer is, he's on the decline. And like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I don't know if you agree with me, but it's kind of weird. Like when he fought Nakatani, I felt like he fought with a certain level of like spite and anger because he was so eager to prove that he wanted to prove himself so badly after the Lopez loss. But then like when he fought Comey, that same anger and that same sort of spite, it wasn't there against Comey, and it wasn't there against Jermaine Ortiz. So I mean, yeah, I would say he wins. Shout out to Donna Williams. I always see your comments, Donna. I've been meaning to respond, but I appreciate your comments. They're very uplifting. They're very nice, and I appreciate finding people like yourself. Thank you for all of that. The welterweight division is absolute shit right now. I don't care if Avanesyan beats Crawford or Thurman beats Spence. At this point, I just want Spence and Crawford to move up. So Ennis and yes, finally someone who's on the same page, man, because I think that fight for me, at least for me, has ran its course. I want to get to this. I want to get to the next generation. Let's close this era out. Let's close this post Floyd PBC welterweight era out, and let's get to the next generation. Let's get to Ennis and Boots. That's what I'm trying to get to. I don't know. Let me see. Yo, BT, you got to check out the 105. I see you covering 108. You almost there. 105 is a good division. I know they had the kid. What's that kid's name? The Dominican. Who's the Dominican champion down there? They call him. I can't remember his name. Help me out. I don't know his name, but yeah, I probably do need to cover the 105 a little bit more. Salute BT. We need Ennis versus Spence. It's better than Bud versus Spence. Listen, I don't care who Ennis fights in a big fight. I just want to see him get his shot. Because he deserves it. Because he's been looking impressive fight after fight, showing you a lot of skills. Let me see. BT, what are your thoughts on Jessica McCaskill's performance? Oh, it was very sloppy. She looks like the kind of fighter. I mean, she's 38 years old. Congratulations to her. But I know she got engaged or married or whatever to her trainer Rick Ramos. I feel like she looked every bit of a old, complacent 38-year-old fighter. Very sloppy, and she was getting picked apart left, right, and center from Chantel Cameron. Now, don't get it twisted. Jessica McCaskill was never she was never exactly Floyd Mayweather or Pernell Whitaker in there. She's always had a bit of sloppiness to her game, but I thought it was she left a lot to be desired. But shout out to Chantel Cameron. She's a fantastic fighter, and she proved it yesterday. So I'm not mad at it. The best fight on that undercard though, but now that you brought it up, now that you're bringing up fights from that card, I really enjoyed that Rachmanov versus Zelfa Barrett card. Zelfa Barrett's one of these British fighters I've watched on a couple of occasions. Like I remember the fight that I remember the most about Zelfa Barrett coming into this fight was when he fought the former Southpaw Irish Olympian Eric Donovan. And I remember Eric Donovan was doing a good job boxing him in spots, but then eventually he got caught some big punches. Zelfa Barrett stopped him, and he found a way to win the fight, right? So Joe Cordina got injured. The IBF stripped Joe Cordina of the IBF title due to the injury because Rachmanov's waiting like 2 years for his shot or whatever. They insert Zelfa Barrett. Zelfa Barrett goes in there and does a great job in the early parts of the fight, moving around, circling the ring, setting traps, countering Rachmanov. Actually wound up dropping Rachmanov, I believe it was in round 4 or 5. But Rachmanov, it was a flash knockdown. Rachmanov wasn't too hurt. He kept punching for the rest of that round and still looked very much a live body. And then, bam, like round by round, Rachmanov just continued to pick up that pressure and that pace, and the pressure burst the pipes, and he eventually wound up dropping Zelfa Barrett and stopping him. So Zelfa Barrett, I think his stock went up yesterday, but he just didn't have the tools. He didn't have the legs to beat him for fighting that style for a 12-round fight. But Rachmanov made history. He's the first fighter from his country of Tajikistan, which I just found out where Tajikistan was 2 years ago. It's in Central Asia. So congrats to him. He's going to fight Joe Cordina next. And we're going to find out who the real IBF champion is. The real IBF champion is because, Cordina had it. Now Rachmanov has it. So they'll sort themselves out. In the Boxing Voice, her coach and her were saying that they wanted to go out to 154 and be undisputed there. Yeah, they did. They did. But I don't know who's at 54 right now. That's what weight class? Like, who's in that weight class? Because I get all the women's weight classes mixed up. I just know, for me, I know in women's boxing, I know obviously 130, 135, that whole area because of like Mayer, Bumgarner, like Taylor, Serrano. I know the lower weight classes because Sinisa Estrada's down there, and that's my favorite women's fighter. But who's at 54? Eric Rosa, yes. They call him, I think his name is like Lil Pac-Man or something like that. Eric Rosa. Yeah, Dominican fighter. Yeah, I gotta check them out, man. There's just so many weight classes in boxing. It's tough. But yeah, I really did enjoy that Zelfa Barrett fight yesterday with Rachmanov, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing how everything pans out there. So Marie Duclair, Natasha Jonas, Terry Harper, all good fighters. Okay. Yeah, I've seen all of them fight, of course. No, she would have got, if she would have fought Natasha Jonas up there at 54, she would have got waxed. I think Natasha Jonas would have pieced up Jessica McCaskill. That's my opinion. They can feel free to go up there and try to fight her, and then I'll change my opinion. I'll change my tune if they lose, but Natasha Jonas is a dog. What other fights did yesterday? Oh, you had the on the zone. You had the return of Cal Yafai. We ain't seen Cal Yafai since Roman Gonzalez knocked him out 2 years ago, pre-COVID. The last time Cal Yafai fought, it was the very last card boxing had, the last big card boxing had before COVID. And I remember this because I was there. I went to Texas. It was the Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas undercard, and Roman Gonzalez versus Cal Yafai was the co-main event. And this is a big fight in Cholatito's career because this is the fight where he became champion for the first time since getting knocked out by Rungvisai. So it was a big deal. And I remember because I went to the UK in winter of 2019. I went to Cal Yafai's gym in Birmingham, the Max McCracken gym. And I interviewed Cal and his brother Gamal Yafai, who was European champion, who I still talk to this very day. And I remember we kind of like got not close, but like I talked to him. He knows who I am. So like when the fight got made and they came to America, what was that like? I think 2 or 3 months after, 2 months after I went to the UK. I remember Cal Yafai and Gamal Yafai were telling me on the day of the Cholatito weigh-in, they told me, they said, make sure you come interview us after the fight. And I said, and I asked them, I said, are you sure about that? And they said, yes, come interview us after the Romo Gonzalez fight. So the fight happens. Romo Gonzalez knocks out Cal Yafai. I see Cal Yafai in the hotel lobby. And what do I go right up to him and I ask him for an interview. I say, hey, let's do the interview. So then Cal has his sunglasses on. He's got swelling on his eyes and stuff. And he said, why would you want to interview? I said, because you told me to. And then he was like, about what? I said, about the fight. What do you think about the fight? I'm getting the interview in. And then he said, well, I don't want to do the interview. You know, I don't got no excuses. I don't got nothing bad to say. He's a better man. He beat me. But yeah, So I haven't seen him since then. We haven't seen Cal fight since then. But he fought the dude. He fought the Filipino 16-5, Gerard Packler, and it was a tough fight for him. Got dropped in the first round by the Filipino. The Filipino was very explosive, and luckily for him, the Filipino fighter Gerard Packler, he didn't really have a whole lot with him as far as like skills is concerned, and you know, Cal was able to you know, fight in the high guard and kind of come forward and hit him to the body and, you know, win a workmanlike performance. But it wasn't an impressive performance. It wasn't like a great performance, but he hasn't fought for 2.5 years, 33 months, I believe, was the exact amount of months he hasn't fought. Bantamweight debut. So he's made it known he wants to become a two-weight world champion. I think it's actually a very realistic goal because Inoue is going to fight Paul Butler. If Inoue beats Paul Butler like we all expect, Inoue will then vacate the belt. He'll go to 122. The belts will fragment. Cal Yafai will probably be try to position himself to fight for one of those vacant belts. And somewhere along the way, I think Eddie Hearn is going to try to make Cal Yafai versus Charlie Edwards, because Charlie Edwards, who was the older brother of Sonny Edwards, him and Cal have some beef. There's like they went back and forth. So that's going to be a fight they make, and they stick on some sort of undercard on the way to him potentially maybe fighting for a world title. That's my prediction. But yeah. To me, Jessica McCaskill is like a brick house. Eddie is going to get a young fighter from a low weight class to take her belt like she did with Cecilia. Okay. We'll see, man. I mean, look, from what I saw yesterday, I feel like she's you know, she got old overnight and her time is near. Gerald Morgan, what's good, champ? Good to see you, Gerald. He says what's going on, BT? It feels good to be in the exposed channel right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to see you, Gerald. Yeah, I'm not gonna have my channel name as this as long as I did Canelo. I'm probably changing it back tomorrow because it's kind of messed with me because I made some videos earlier and I keep saying the untouchable because it's just something I say at the beginning of all my videos. So I'm just like, yo, I gotta change this shit back because I don't even dislike Zotto like that, but probably tomorrow. So for a limited time only will be Zotto exposed by Bivol. Hey, bro, I might not be able to watch Johnny Beck. It was watch a non-profile. He was like, watch a non-high profile fight or miss out with my girl. You tell me, brother. Listen, man, if you gotta make that choice, I would definitely say go hang out with your girl because Johnny Beck's fighting Denzel Bentley. You know, all respect to Mr. Bentley. I hope he comes and gives a good fight. I'll be here live for it. But if you're telling me, you know, go hang out with your girl and go have a nice time, or go watch Johnny Beck blitz some British fighter who's been knocked out by a higher level British fighter, then I would say, yeah, go hang out with your girl. Go do what y'all do. Yeah, man. Let me see. What other fights were yesterday? We had Rachmanov. We had Zubber versus whatchamacallit, and Caskill. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it. Michael Manning says it's a tough habit to break. What is? What's a tough habit to break? What is going on with Showtime? Fox is getting out. Showtime is barely there. It might be out too. PBC already has problems getting their fighters fights. I think right now it looks like the state of the Showtime in general is in flux because the CEO of Paramount stepped down, and now they're talking about moving fights to Paramount Plus and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So it's a wait and see, man. There's not a lot of dates. We know that Benavidez' plan is supposed to happen supposedly, but there's no official date. But Frank Moore and Michelle Rivera is December 17th. But outside of that, there's no dates for PBC. So, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I think we have this conversation all the time in boxing, like, oh, is Showtime getting out of business? But, until it happens, I'll believe it when I see it. He says, saying untouchable, what about Gamal Yafai? Gamal or Galal? Because Galal Yafai, the one that fought on the undercard last night, yesterday he did his thing. I mean, he fought that tough Mexican. I forgot his name right now, but he didn't. It wasn't a great performance, but it wasn't a great performance. And you wouldn't expect him to have a great performance. He's his third pro fight. He's still learning the pro game. He just turned pro like this year. But yeah, neither one of the Yafais exactly lit the world on fire yesterday. So the Yafais got to tighten up. Otherwise, one of the Yafais is going to take an L. Bentley is in tough on the night. The rest of the card ain't worth it. I disagree with that because I'm excited to see Sinisa Estrada back in the ring. Women's boxing is going through a golden era. We've seen all the great women's fighters fight this year, but we ain't seen super bad. So I know she's not fighting no great opponent, and it's a showcase fight because it's her top-ranked debut. But I'm happy to see Sinisa Estrada back in the ring. I'm elated to see Sinisa Estrada back in the ring. So, yeah, it's not a great card, but we'll be live for it. You see, I realized that you started covering Morrell more. What made you start covering him more? I knew about him in the amateurs. I started covering him more because he's a very prominent figure in the 168 division, and I like watching him fight. So that's why I started covering him more. He's probably going to get a fight with, like you said, Planner Benavidez before we know it. So I should have been covering him earlier, but for whatever reason, I didn't. But better late than never, But listen, guys, I think on that note, I pretty much came here. I've kind of recap what I wanted to recap. We got through the whole day of boxing yesterday. So I'm gonna wrap it up here real soon. But what I will say is this: I will be live next week for Johnny Beck versus Denzel Bentley and Sinisa Estrada's return. So join us for that next Saturday. There will be other lives throughout the week. I'm definitely gonna go live tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about Johnny Beck. How about that? We'll talk about Johnny Beck tomorrow, or maybe if something happens between now and then, we'll talk about something tomorrow. But yeah, that's what it is. Bivol, exposing Zotto. Zotto exposed by Bivol. Bivol showing himself to be one of the technically most proficient boxers our sport has to offer. So he's on his way to an undisputed fight with Artur Beterbiev. They're on a collision course. Beterbiev just has to do his job with Anthony Yard in January, and then line it up in the summer, and then we should be in for a great 2023. God willing, our fingers crossed. But on that note, guys, you take care. Have a blessed rest of your Sunday night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next live. And make sure you guys continue to watch the rest of the content here on True School Sports. I still want that 50K. You know, I'm getting closer and closer to that 50K, but I've been like, it's so close yet so far. So tell your friend, tell your mom, tell your family about True School Sports, the home of boxing, and you guys take care. And on that note, like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.